Okay, hello, welcome, gentlemen, online. I will be going through some basics on market research today, and then we've got an exercise for you to do a little bit of assessment, and I've also sent a couple of supplementary videos from one of my colleagues in the UK who gives a nice, clear explanation of primary and secondary market research. So bear with me, and we'll get on with some work soon. Now, gentlemen, today, so we've been looking at this concept of a market, right? How markets work, how they grow, how they shrink, how they change, how businesses adapt to changes in those markets, right? Now, we're going to move on slightly from that, and we're going to look at this concept of market research. Now, market research is really quite an important factor for businesses because what they can do, they can start to get an insight into what is it that customers really want. Okay, we're going to look at three main reasons to conduct market research. Okay, so the first one is really based on this, to understand the needs and wants of consumers. Now, if a business can start to do that, then they can design their products and services to match consumer needs and wants. And therefore, they're more likely to make sales. You make sales, you make revenue. You make revenue, you've given yourself half a chance of making a profit. Okay, so the first concept is this, that we want to try to understand and therefore kind of anticipate the needs and wants of consumers. That's the first reason to do market research. The second reason, to quantify the likely level of demand. So it's great finding out information, but what you really want to know is, are customers going to go to buy your product? So you want to try and quantify the likely level of demand. Now, this word here, quantify, we'll come to with that word. Lenny, do you know what it means? Lenny, do you know what quantify means? Okay, so it's to put a number on something, a quantity. Okay, to quantify the likely level of demand means we want to know the number of customers that are likely to buy that product. And that is what we mean by the concept of quantify. You all right with that then?
Yes.
Okay. Listen, if you don't understand the word, you've got to highlight this. Okay? There's nothing else on there you shouldn't understand. Now, and thirdly, it's just to gain an insight into consumer behavior. What is it that consumers like? What is it that they want to do? Are they potentially going to buy your product again? Are they going to be repeat customers? Are they going to react? How are they going to react to changes that you make? Okay. So these are, if anybody asks you what are the aims of market research, we know that these three are the go-to concepts. Okay, these are the three of the go-to aims of market research. Okay, so that's first. Okay, pretty basic to start with. Pretty quick. Second, we're going to look at the information that is collected through market research can be split into two types of information. Okay? of all, we're going to look at different types of data. Data can be made up of two different types of things. The first thing is what we call quantitative data. Now, just think about what I said earlier about this word here. Lenny, stop writing. Just think about what I said about this word earlier. What do we think this means? Quantitative.
How much something is? Like the number of something?
Quantitative.
Oh, it is numerative data, right?
Good. It's numerate. Okay. It has a number associated with it. We can quantify it. A bit like this, yeah? Quantify. We can place a number on it. We're collecting information, and that information that we collect is number-based. It's data, like we would use in mathematics, right? We've got a number that we can apply to that concept. If you transfer your knowledge to economics, what sort of economic statement might this allow us to make? So, in terms of quantitative data, would that help us to create positive statements or normative statements?
Positive statements.
Why?
Because that is percentages and numerative facts.
Only facts.
Yeah.
Only facts. And that's often made up with statistics or data, right?
Yeah.
And that statistics or data is quantitative. It's a numerical value. Okay?
And then qualitative would be normative, right?
Yes, it would. The other type of data is qualitative. Okay? Now these are really annoying words to try and say, but the difference between them is that here we are collecting numerical values. We're collecting what we would call hard data, right? Numbers. Here we are collecting people's opinions, people's views, how people feel about something, maybe about what their intentions are, or how a certain feature makes them feel, or how they feel overall about a business or a product. So these are hard numbers, hard data. This is what we would consider to be soft data. It's opinions and views and feelings. Okay?
And the first one's hard numbers.
Numerical information, yes, numerical data. So, the next question is this. How do we collect that information? How do we collect that data, whether it's hard or soft? And there are two ways. Anyone know? Some of you know. I know you do. Belgium.
Encuestas?
No.
So what's the question?
So there's two methods of collecting market research. What do you know what they are called? Yes.
So for qualitative, you could do a survey.
Yeah. No, we're talking about broader than that.
Like direct and indirect?
No.
Look at the fields in the market.
Yes.
In like when a empresa is not a sole trader, the results of the money they earn goes to public table.
No, that's not about collecting market research. Okay, that's about providing financial information to a government for taxation reasons. Okay. What do you think it is, Anta?
Primary and secondary research.
Yes. So we split it into what we call primary and secondary research. Okay. So your example, Max, where would that fall into? Which one would it be?
Primary.
It would be a part of primary research, wouldn't it? You're talking about just being broader. So how do we describe primary research methods? What words would we use to describe primary research? Yes.
Isn't that research that you conduct yourself?
Good. Research you conduct yourself. Anything else? It doesn't have to be done in person.
Or your contact with the
Hypothesis?
person.
No.
You're interacting with your customers.
Yeah, I suppose you are interacting with your customers. They don't always have to be your customers. They could be
Interacting with
potential customers. Yes?
The market graph where you have the price equilibrium doing that.
Go on, say.
¿Cómo se llama? La tabla esta que hacíamos, where you have the price equilibrium, the supply, like with the table information.
No. So, primary research is when a company collects information. Okay?
And
Now, this makes it two things. It makes it more relevant, and it makes it more timely. Okay? Do we understand those two words? Makes it more relevant because it's your company collecting it about you, about your product. And it's more timely because it's up to date. It's now. Today, it's about what you're going to do in the future. So it's up to date and it's relevant. It's much more accurate if you do the research yourself about your specific products with your specific target market. What about secondary research? What words might we use to describe secondary research? Tommy?
research that is not conducted by yourself but by somebody else, and you use their research to like write your own.
Stop there. So it's research that's already being collected
Exactly, and it could
by
be a bit
somebody else. Okay? Now, what does this mean? Well, first of all, it means it's not necessarily timely. It might be out of date. We know that markets are dynamic. We know that markets change. And therefore, it may be out of date. But also, it might not be as accurate or as relevant as primary data. But it might not be about your individual business, your individual target market. It might be much more generalized. So, can we think of some methods of primary research and some methods of secondary research? Methods of primary research? How might we go about collecting information firsthand? Harry?
interview.
An interview, yeah. Face-to-face interviews. More likely these days online interviews or telephone interviews. Yes?
Surveys, questionnaire.
Yep, a survey, a questionnaire, which is effectively the same as an interview, but it's going to be a lot more, probably a lot more written orientated, and maybe it might include some open questions as well. So a survey or an interview is a good one. Yes?
You could look at your company's sales history.
But that's for primary research.
No, that's not primary research. Well, not really primary research, because that information already exists. It's collected, it's historical.
Yeah, but it's still from your company.
Yeah, primary research. Yeah, you could use sales figures, current sales figures,
Yeah.
and use that to try to understand your future sales figures. Yeah, to set budgets and things like that. Tommy,
Focus groups.
a focus group. Did you read it in the book?
I knew it already, but I read it.
What is it?
A focus group is that you take a group of people and I think it was you ask them questions and you watch how they do things, right?
Well, you can do both things. You can either you can watch them as they interact with the product or with the service, or you can ask them to sit down and discuss their opinions of it.
Yeah.
Which are you most likely to be collecting in that point for focus groups?
I think qualitative, because if you collect their opinions.
Exactly. So you're collecting their views, you're collecting their opinions. So it's more likely to be collecting this kind of data, this kind of information. So we have interviews, surveys, we have company information that's up to date for you to use, and we've got also something like free trials, okay, where we might actually ask customers to try the product and have a go at it and see if they enjoy it. Yeah, product testing. Yeah. Secondary research. Where does that come from? Ben? Where are we going to get secondary research from? Where are we going to find it? Where do you go if you want to find
Other
information?
companies tell history.
You might look at competitor analysis reports. Yeah, you might look at reports about the whole market, about your competitors, and maybe yourself as well. Yeah.
Books, the internet.
Books, the internet, what we call business reports, market reports, market analysis reports. It might be in a government report. It might be an annual report from a business. It's basically information that has been collected and gathered elsewhere. Right? Which again doesn't necessarily mean it's the most accurate. It doesn't necessarily mean it's been gathered in a timely manner. Okay. Let me see. One of the biggest sources recently for secondary research is social media. I don't know if you're aware, but social media sites and social media companies are gathering what we call metadata, and they are really gathering a hell of a lot of information about us.
Yeah. Phone here.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, sure.
Trust
As
me,
we
trust me.
fine. As we start to provide more and more information about our lifestyles, about the things we like, literally like, the things we like, the things that we're interested in, the more information those companies receive, the more information they can provide to other companies about the likely things that you might like to be marketed for. A great example is my girlfriend at the moment, who's managed to get herself pregnant. She started looking for, I don't know, a pram or something online. And now she keeps getting adverts for baby things. So it's about the algorithms that sort of secondary data is being used as market research. And what they're trying to do is to try and give you an insight into the customer behavior, or they're trying to understand your needs, your wants. And then they're using that information to be able to market different products to you. Yes?
So how does it happen so fast? Like one day you look at something and the next day what you see.
Well, it happens fast because it's computerized. It doesn't rely on human error. It doesn't rely on human ability to do it. So it's an algorithm. So it's simply a click, which would then lead to a piece of code being fed into the system, which then says these are the adverts that will now go into your profile. I mean, it's an interesting social experiment. If you take, I don't know, if you choose a different sport, so I'm sure you all like a lot of golf stuff, but if you choose a different sport, you'll soon find that it starts to creep into your profiles. So if you like, I don't know, tennis posts all the time, and ignore golf for a couple of days, then all of a sudden your profile starts to change and alter, and you start to see more and more stuff that's coming up about that given thing. That's simply the algorithms working behind the scenes, where they've collected that information and then they're using it to market certain products to you. It's a highly intelligent system. Not particularly ethical, but highly intelligent. Okay, right, over to you. I've got a job for you. So if you're watching online, you've got it via email. If you're in class, I've got it on paper. I want you to have a go at the questions that I've sent across. There's a simple question on market research. There's a more complicated question on market research. And there's also a question that just is a little bit of a maths question. Have a go at it. I'll speak to you later. Bye-bye.